exists in reality. In other words, research is not about shadow chasing. You are not embarking on a journey of no return whenever we embark on the research. We embark on the research believing that there's an end in sight, there's something concrete, a reality that we are pursuing. And it's also anchored on the fact that there are certain things we need to know, right? And in the process, acquire knowledge as we're reading along. In other words, research is anchored on the fact that there's a reality somewhere that we are pursuing. It's not an abstract thing that leads to nowhere, right? It underlies the fact that we are out in pursuit of the acquisition of knowledge in our reasoning process. So, in research, therefore, we say that we are confronted with two words in research. Two words. When I say words, I mean WORLD. The world we live in. The words. Two words. And what are these two words? The world of theory and reality. The world of theory. Every political research must be anchored on a theory. Thus, then it is merely a shadow. Number two, when we say reality, what exactly are we talking about? Reality, from the perspective of political research, is about what exists. What exists. You can say what exists somewhere that we are trying to locate. And that this thing can be empirically verified. Right? And that is what scientists are interested in. In the natural science, therefore, you find scientists in their lab for years trying to look at something they believe was responsible for a disease. They believe that this thing exists. They don't know where it is. But they are pushing on all fronts to see that it is discovered. It is the same thing with political research. When we embark on political research, we believe that there's a reality somewhere that we are pursuing. And that reality, we believe, can be verified empirically. In our last class, we talked about empiricism. And we discussed David Easton's 8 pillars of science. That's what we are talking about here. So you can relate those 8 pillars to this particular sentence I've just made, right? That reality must be verified empirically. And this is what differentiates science from every other discipline. So it's not about our own assumption. It's not about our own belief system. It's not about our own tradition. But it is something that we can subject to tests of validation. So, talk about the reality that exists somewhere and the world of theory and reality in political research, and two, that this reality can be verified empirically, right? Number 3 is that in political research, as I said last week, the exercise can be at 2 different forms. Political research can be at 2 different levels. The level of induction and the level of deduction. I think I stated that last week. Deduction, moving from general to specific, and induction, moving from specific to general. So we get close to reality through experience and logical reasoning, induction and deduction. Right? And research can only be said to be meaningful and successful if it contributes to the attainment of reality. If you are able to achieve the goal you set out for yourself, which is the reality you are pursuing, it is at that point you can say that your research or my research was successful. If not, it becomes a failure. Number 3, at the philosophical level, we believe that our research endeavor, particularly people research, can be at 3 different, or can be from 3 different perspectives. Political research can best be understood from 3 different perspectives. Perspective A is that of realism. Realism, R-E-A-L-I-S-M. B is what we call constructivism. Constructivism, that is from the word construct. Constructivism. And number C is what we call pragmatism. All of these are in your notes. I'm just trying to explain them. Right? I've explained realism. When I talk about the word of reality. What realism suggests is that there is an assumption that there is a real world somewhere, a world somewhere that we are pursuing, right? And this world is external to our individual experience. In other words, the world of reality shows that something real, something tangible, right, exists that we must pursue. The real world. That's just the underlying word there. From the word real, we got reality as a paradigm or as a perspective in political research. And the goal of research in this way, the objective of any research founded on the perspective of realism is towards the attainment of this real world. I've explained that, right? But when you say constructivism, like I said, from the word construct, then ism. The assumption here is that you and I, every one of us, have our different or unique experience in life, right? And that no reality exists outside this our individual experience. Remember I said we're talking about logic. So you can differentiate the two even with your different personal examples, right? Reality, for example, anybody who says he wants to be a realist and say all that is the reality of life. You can find his own perspective based on that. That because men have a tendency to be polygamous, then all men are adulterous. That's a reality according to him. But the man who says a constructivist, whose idea of research is founded on constructivism, will argue that no, there is no reality of pervasiveness anywhere about men. There's no reality of waywardness about men anywhere. That each individual in life, right, has his own goal and objective that he pursues. So while some may decide to be adulterous, some are celibate, and that is why some will go to the priesthood and take the vow of celibacy, not to have anything to do with marriage or to rearing children. Those are individual experiences. While some and decide to marry 20 wives, 40 wives, depending on their. I don't know whether you are following the example. So the first one is about the world of reality created, that no matter what, right, men definitely must be men. Second one is say no. Men have their peculiarities that they live by every day. One is reality, one is constructivist or constructivism. And the third one, in political research, in political logic, is what we call the logic of pragmatism. And pragmatism tries to marry the first two perspectives together. Yes, as a pragmatist, you believe that there's a world of reality. And you also believe that there's a world of differences, in life, which everybody tries to adapt to. While the first one, reality, talks about certainty, you are certain that this thing happens. The other one says no, there are variations. But pragmatism believes that yes, while there's a world of reality, there can also be variations. It's a marriage of the two. And in research, you find people who belong to either of these three different perspectives. And that is why, as a social scientist, as a political scientist, right, somebody can ask you, what is your theoretical background? What theoretical approach do you follow in your research? And somebody can say, I am a realist. In my writings, I subscribe to the paradigm or the perspective of realism, the theory of realism. Another can tell you, no, I am not a realist, I'm a constructivist. I believe in the principle of constructivism that holds that individuals have their relativities, have their differences, have their innate capacities that they use to determine whatever outcome they pursue. And the third one is I'm a pragmatist. I'm a pragmatist, right? In the sense that, yes, while I subscribe to the principle or the theory of realism, right, I also believe that there are differences in human nature. But in all of these, whether you are a realist, you are a constructivist, or you are a pragmatist, what we know about research is that the researcher, whether from the perspective of realism, the perspective of constructivism, or the perspective of pragmatism, must be able to answer those six questions or those six issues I stated in the notes that I sent to you. And what is that? Whether you are a realist, whether you are a pragmatist, whether you are a constructivist, your research questions must be towards investigating a problem. Or there must be a problem you are pursuing. Whether from the perspective of realism, there must be a problem that agitates your mind as a researcher. Right? Two, you must have a good research strategy. The strategy must be well stipulated, must be well, right, in a very systematic fashion, articulated, right. Number three, the approaches that you are going to adopt in the research, which we call approaches to social inquiries, the approaches you as a researcher will follow, must be well stated, right. And number four, the theories that you are going to use, the concept that you are going to apply, must be such that are explicitly, stated and itemized. I think I told you the last class. It is not just for fun that you find this systematic arrangement in project writing, where you have a whole section of conceptual clarification, and your supervisor will tell you, right, what we have done is inadequate. And I also told you that there are some concepts that are so basic that in research they do not qualify as part of the concept that you need to provide a clarification. If you are defining man, for example, you say concept of clarification, man, is there any definition I want to give man other than the fact that man belongs to the male gender? There is no other. But if you are talking of poverty, for example, right? Poverty is relative. Some people can tell you that poverty is not just about money. That's why a millionaire can be said to be poor. Whether you are talking of poverty of the mind, poverty of ideas, right? Poverty of influence. You stipulate that. That's what we call conceptual clarification. So the way an economist will interpret poverty will not be the same way a political scientist will interpret poverty. The way an economist will see equality will not be the same way sociologists will see it. So that is why we say that in research, your concept and your theory that will help your research must be well, articulated. Then, of course, as a good researcher, you must give that you understand the concept very well, the idea very well. Many people confuse their sources of data.
In the class, I'll call you back, sir.
Questionnaire and interview. Whatever figures you are providing from your field as responses from your respondents, you should be able to corroborate them with interviews of respondents in the field so that your analysis is not one-sided. So the type of data you collect is very necessary and germane to the type of research that you are conducting. And of course, lastly, there we talk about the methods you use in
Yes,
collecting
Ife,
data and analyzing
Shekbe
it.
is looking for you.
While the method of data collection is very essential, the method we also use in analyzing the data is something that you cannot run away from. So all of these help in no small way in determining, right, the outcome of our research. You will also observe that in that note, I gave you some definitions which I think you must familiarize yourself with. Right? I looked at, for example, concept. What do you mean by concept? And I think I gave just few indications of that last week. I'm talking about characteristics of an object that define an object. That's what
Ife,
makes it right a concept. And I'll give an example. If you say somebody is
Ife,
poor, poverty as a concept, what does it mean? Right? Are you talking about somebody that has little cash on his hand or in his account? Are you talking about somebody who cannot feed? There are some people who feed 3 times a day and they will tell you they are poor. And there are some who don't even have food at all. So if somebody who spends 3 times eating a day, he starts eating 3 times a day, says he's poor. And the other man who is not even eating, what do you call that man who is not even eating? So the characteristics associated with, an object makes it a concept. That's why I said concept can be relative. The way you use it may be different. Someone has 10 million naira in his account, and when they are asking people to get up, we still get up. Because to him, his idea of being rich, maybe can start from a billion. So all of this one, familiarize yourself with it. That when you say concept, what exactly I'm talking about? I've explained construct, what is a variable, right? What is a hypothesis, right? And law and theory. If you look at all of these, the way I arrange them, you will know that it starts from the basic to the end. Every theory starts from the, like I said, the search for reality, right? That is what you find there, right? And when you look at that, from there you develop your concept, you develop your hypothesis, your variable, it becomes law. And when laws are tested over time and they pass the test of validation, right, they become a theory. So all of this, like I said, you find in the note that I sent to you. Any questions so far?
Prof, right on,
Are we
sir.
together? Are we together?
Yes, sir, we are together, sir.
Are you hearing me?
We are hearing you, Prof.
So you can mute, right? Good. For those of you who were not around last week, we we also spoke about sources of knowledge in research, right? And I said I discussed that briefly. This is what I gave you. We spoke about common sense. We spoke about institution. We spoke about experience. And I think we spoke about tradition, authority, media myth, and before we get to the scientific method. And what I say that way, let me just restate it. All of these sources of knowledge, they have their way of getting into research if care is not taken, right? If you don't take good care of yourself while writing, you can allow your common sense to determine or yes, or to influence what you are writing. And what is common sense? Is the knowledge that you have or the opinion that you have about something. It becomes a common. For example, let me just give that example. In Nigeria, they will say all politicians are thieves, right? And so when we write about corruption in Nigeria, I'll just give that as a hypothetical example. Tendency is that you write as if you are a daily witness to the stealing of public funds by politicians. That is common sense. Yes, it can be said to be true, but if your assertions are not backed up by adequate facts, they become unscientific. Nobody will accept that. And so that is why you can even make some comments, you can write some statements in your project that you think is true to you,